I was born in 1956, or as my eldest daughter Ellen says, the middle of the last century. How does that make you feel? And what's interesting is you look back at each decade, you realise that, in a way, you can summarise that decade right down to a single word, which, gets it in a nutshell. I mean, the 50s, you could say, what was that? Well, that was the decade of hope. So after the war, we had social housing, social education, a health system, and so on. Huge aspiration and hope for a better country. The 60s, what's the word? Revolution, sexual revolution, political revolution, so on. So maybe 60s, revolution is the word. The 70s, bad taste, flares. I mean, there's still teachers in our schools wearing the original flares they bought when they first arrived. And they, of course, quite rightly believe what goes around comes around, like the teacher of grammar. So, the 80s, excess, maybe, is that the word? The 90s, technology. Certainly, technology transformed. All this kit sometimes failing us, but technology. The decade we've just left. What word, as we step further and further from it, will you say, describe, define that decade? Control, surveillance, compliance, that nasty little weasel word, compliance. A decade from now, what would we like it to be? Do we return to hope? I think in that talk there are signs of where or what it can be. We recently ran a course for our experienced heads. And at that course I said to those heads, the only people who can take the risks, because in a sense the careers are no longer at stake, they're not building a career, are you. Anthony can take the risk because he's in the position he's in. And so he's taking the risks to set out what he believes world-class education is about, which goes and transcends, it goes beyond the academic, it transcends the academic. It's about making a profound difference to young people's lives. It's about making them discerning people who will do the right thing throughout their lifetime. That's a genuine mission. And that's the reason for being here in this room. Education UK is a collective enterprise. We're all partners in this enterprise. Our whole mission, our message to government is we are partners in this collective enterprise. Proper coalition in trying to lift the quality of education in this country as a whole, and we all have something to offer and something to learn. So then you come to, well, what do we talk about when they're in the rooms? When we've gone through the passion and the emotion and made that journey, yes. And then we've gone through the technical and the legal and we understand how that will work, yes. When we sit in that room for the first time together around the table, what do we talk about? And in a sense, there are three fundamental aspects to all good schools. And within each, there are very common features. It doesn't matter the size of the school, the nature of the school. It's interesting when you look at this, you begin to explore this, you realise the thing that's dominated so many people's lives recently, how very small it is. Here's compliance. Education is more than compliance. Being a compliant person does not make you a good person. Being a compliant school does not make you a great school. And so in schools, when we look at them, there's a whole environment, a climate, we've used that word, a success culture you'll see in good schools. When you partner up with a school, it may be a school that's what has been lost. It doesn't have that defined feeling. It's like walking to someone's home. You can tell if the climate's right. You can feel it. And the school may well be that it's lost that climate. And people say, well, how do you change that? Well, actually, there's nuts and bolts stuff you can do. The physical environment, the giving away of responsibility to others, and so forth. Decent and good communications. Simple things that a school does well. This is a conversation you can have, whether you're a primary school or a cabinet, say, how are you communicating what we're trying to do here with the staff? That's a universal problem for heads and governors. Recognition and incentives. How do you motivate your staff? Is it authentic praise Or is it, oh, that's a great job, and has no value? One of the best lessons I've ever seen was a science teacher who had a jar of Mentos on his desk. And if you'd gone the extra mile, if you'd done exceptional work, if you'd really done your very finest for him, he'd say at the end of the lesson, now today, I have to say, young Smith here, fantastic, really good work there, and you can come out and you can choose mint. Yeah, and they had almost iconic status. You know, in other schools, kids are wearing stickies like the Scouts. But the mint had real meaning, authentic praise. Community involvement and engagement. You're doing it not because a charity commissioner on your back. You're doing it because you're part of a wider community. You are a school. Surely your physical building should be the centre of learning in the community in which you reside. So schools can create a climate in which success is going to happen. And then there's the pedagogy, there's the actual business of teaching and learning. That relentless pursuit of excellence. It's very hard for the very best schools to stay at the top of their game. Any school that thinks we've arrived, the seeds of its decline are already there. It's a restlessness, it's a constant tinkering and playing, improving, constant improving. And when you dig underneath that, very basic things. We focus on quality teaching and learning. We can carry no baggage. You either will be a very good teacher, or we will relentlessly support you so you become a very good teacher, or we relentlessly support you and you decide a different career would be better. But you will be a very good teacher. And you invest in staff development and training and support. And you set those expectations, you walk the talk, you model those behaviours. You believe in the possible. And there's compliance. You tick the boxes, but you don't become obsessed by it. And you intervene when there's trouble. One of the interesting markers of really good institutions, whether it's a business institution or a school, is the effective intervention by the senior leadership team. They don't let problems drift. They tackle them. Doesn't matter what kind of school, where it is, or the nature of the children. All those things are universal. And then in this top section, we have this interesting and ephemeral area. And actually, this is the glue that holds your school together. This is what makes a school truly successful. It's what George Bush, once searching for it, said, the vision thing. What's that vision thing? And people mistake vision with charisma. Charismatic leaders are usually very dangerous. But we often mistakenly think very effective leaders are charismatic. Actually, they're not. What they are brilliant communicators who can articulate the possible in a way you believe in and want to work for them to achieve. That's all they do. Some do it on a heroic and epic scale. Nelson Mandela is the perfect model. He can do it at a national level. In the simplest of language, articulate the possible. And yet a good head teacher does exactly the same. We're going to Italy. It's a better place to be. And we're taking our school there. And people say, yeah, I'll do that with you. And when you dig into that, what are they doing? They wear their values on the sleeve. What shapes and steers this school? Anthony set out what shapes and steers our school. He wears his values on his sleeve. And for your school, there may be values like respect, service, compassion, discipline, integrity. Why would they be different in Barnsley than in Berkshire? They're not. But it's the fact that the leader is willing to wear those on their sleeve and say, these values shape everything we do. The quality of what we provide, the policies we have, and the reason why we're going to step out beyond our boundary, connect with others, and make a difference. And that sets the vision and the way forward, and it provides the day-to-day goals for the school, which it can look at itself and say, so what have we done today? So as we come to this conference, the original proposition was this. Education Coalition may have arrived through the strange happenstance of the political landscape we find ourselves in. But strangely, when we take a longer perspective, where we are since the 1944 Education Act, where the only thing that was prescribed in that act was RE, everything else was in the gift of the school. The 80 Act, which prescribed everything, introduced a national curriculum, assessment, Ofsted, the whole lot. And coming out the other side now, into a new decade where the watchword is going to be independence, freedom, autonomy, and I would say coalition, connection, that relationship. If we get this right, we really will make a difference. Thank you very much.